Hey guys, you ever play a game that you're hooked instantly by the opening scene and by the time you're done with it, you did not expect the twist and turn the way it did? I've been having quite a bit of fun with this gem of a game. I'm not usually an open world survival crafting enjoyer, but Abiotic Factor really scratches that itch. Even though right now it's kind of early access, and that may be a turn off to some, it was for me at first, but they seem to be adding more content at a pretty decent pace. I mean, we did just get an update recently in October, and we have one coming out in December. I have a few other games in mind that I want to talk about as well as some Final Fantasy stuff in the works, but before we continue, if you guys don't mind dropping a like and comment, that seriously really does help, and thank you guys so much for watching this stuff. First thing I noticed about this game is that the art style, upon the opening, I was taken back to an era of Half-Life. The design decisions to use this sort of approach is something other games like Valheim has taken to use the retro graphics, but honestly, I'm all for it. The fact that it's an open world game, but feels like a normal progressing game without the massive landscape of trees, hills, and rocks really helps trick you into thinking that isn't an open world survival game at all. Pair that with the atmosphere of Half-Life and some weird and slightly spooky things later on, that really makes this game feel like a happy mix of SCP and the renowned Valve game. Believe me, you'll come across some pretty crazy stuff that makes sense to what I'm getting at here. At first it didn't seem so, but if you dig deeper, yeah, it really takes a few turns. The story here is done in these little audio logs you can find around as you follow in the footsteps of a scientist who is documenting pretty much everything, but that only backfills the world building. The other NPCs you meet in the game give you a more real-time look at what's happening instead of what has happened. Oh, and you also have to make sure you're not defecating your own work pants. I do think this game really shines in the co-op setting with a few friends, or even one to join you in the journey. Being able to build bases like forts anywhere in the world, sprawling office spaces, or attics, or even in the middle of caves you'll find later really does lead to a lot of imaginative small living spaces. At night the power goes out and you get this near feeling of liminal space that, well, is like an abandoned mall or something. Gathering couches, arcade machines, lights, tables, you name it, to make your little office place a functional workstation while also having a comforting aesthetic is something I found this game does better than any other normal survival crafting games within the same similar functions. I can't find a game yet that lets me jack an arcade machine as well as the TVs that all play different infomercials to play around with my totally luxurious high-rise office space. I won't go too far with all the places you can visit, but there are quite a few. But Flat Hills? Man, talk about a throwback to Silent Hill itself. A foggy landscape that has this eerie, dense fog that never goes away, along with the constant need to keep yourself hidden away from creatures that lurk and linger within this fog. Spooky but pretty cool, and it has really sold the game for me after coming to this area. I wish I had my initial reaction, but I wasn't recording at the time, and honestly I kind of wish I was. There's a few other things I want to list off here too that I really liked about the game that I haven't mentioned yet. You have this Project Zomboid style class system, but it's more of a light version of it. You kind of pick your classes at the beginning, or your backstory at the beginning of the game. That gives you some sort of pros and cons. You have positive traits and negative traits to make your game harder or easier the way you want it to kind of balance out that sort of roleplay style. I always found myself really liking the engineer to build things because I like base building a lot. But I seriously could go on more about other places that you find in the game. You start off the game in this, again, like I mentioned, it's Half-Life style sort of world, but it gets crazy the longer you go on. Trust me. I'm not going to spoil anything for any of you guys. What I can tell you is that the game really amps up after you go to Flat Hills. Story and atmosphere wise, with the world events and the tension and overall plot you discover on the way, you'll find guns, aliens, weirdness, as well as some silly dialogue from a few fellow members of the science team about this world. Again, I'm not here to rate these games. I just want to talk about the cool things that I like about them, and I wanted to share these with you guys with these videos. So if you like this sort of thing, I seriously recommend picking up Abiotic Factor. It's a small game right now, but as I previously mentioned, there's a lot of content being added, and I got about, 30 hours of fun out of it.
What are we doing here again?